3 Creepy True Gym Horror Stories. Part 1. The Gym That Never Closed. Most people think gyms are one of the safest places you can be. Bright lights, security cameras, people coming and going all day. But the truth is, when a gym stays open 24 hours, something strange happens after midnight. The loud music stops. The crowd disappears. And suddenly the same place that felt full of energy starts to feel empty. Too empty. The kind of empty where every echo feels like someone breathing behind you. Tonight, we're going to explore 3 disturbing gym experiences that real people claim actually happened. No urban legends. No campfire stories. Just ordinary people who walked into a gym expecting a workout and left with something they can never explain. Story 1. The man who used the gym after closing. In 2018, a man named Daniel moved to a small city in Oregon for work. Daniel was a quiet guy. He worked as a software technician and spent most of his time alone. His one routine was the gym. Every night after work, around 11:30 p.m., he would drive to a small 24-hour fitness center just outside downtown. The place was never crowded that late. Usually there were maybe 2 or 3 people scattered around the building. A guy on the treadmill. Someone lifting weights. But Daniel liked that. He preferred working out when no one was around. Less noise. Less distraction. Just the sound of weights clanking and the low hum of machines. For months, everything about the gym felt normal. Until one night, when Daniel noticed something strange. The first odd thing. It started with the locker room lights. One night, Daniel finished his workout and walked toward the locker room to grab his bag. But as he pushed open the door, the lights inside flickered once. Then again. Then they went completely dark. The hallway lights were still on, so he could faintly see inside the room. But the entire locker room was pitch black. Daniel assumed it was just an electrical issue. So he waited a few seconds. Then suddenly, the lights snapped back on. Bright and normal. He shrugged it off and grabbed his bag. But as he turned to leave, something caught his attention. One of the lockers was slowly closing. Not slamming. Not moving fast. Just gently swinging shut. Daniel stopped walking. There was no one else in the room. He was sure of that. Still, he convinced himself maybe someone had just left, and the locker hadn't closed all the way. So he left the gym and drove home. But that was only the beginning. The night it got worse. A week later, Daniel went to the gym even later than usual. It was 1:15 a.m. The building looked almost completely empty. The parking lot had only 2 cars. His own and another car parked near the entrance. Inside the gym, the lights were dimmed slightly the way they always were late at night. But something felt different. Too quiet. Even for that time of night. Normally, you could hear the faint whir of treadmills or someone lifting weights. But tonight, nothing. Daniel walked past the front desk. No staff. Which wasn't unusual after midnight. Members used a keycard to enter. Still, the silence felt strange. He scanned the main workout area. Empty. So he started his routine. Someone was using the treadmill. About 20 minutes later, Daniel heard something. A soft mechanical sound. Like a treadmill running. He looked up. At the far end of the gym, one of the treadmills was moving. The belt spinning slowly. But there was no one on it. Daniel stared for a few seconds. Then he laughed nervously. Machines sometimes start if someone accidentally presses a button. Maybe someone had used it earlier. So he walked over and pressed the stop button. The treadmill stopped. Problem solved. Or so he thought. The security camera screen. On his way back to the weights, Daniel passed a small office. Inside was a monitor connected to the gym's security cameras. The door was slightly open. Normally he ignored it. But tonight something made him glance at the screen. And when he did, his stomach dropped. One of the camera feeds showed the treadmill area. But on the screen, someone was standing there, right where the treadmill had been running. A tall figure, perfectly still. Daniel slowly turned his head toward the treadmill area behind him. Nothing. No one. He looked back at the monitor. The figure was still there, standing on the treadmill, not moving, just watching the camera. Daniel felt his heart start pounding, because he realized something terrifying. The camera view showed the treadmill from behind, meaning the figure on the screen was facing toward the back of Daniel's head. The sound behind him. Daniel froze. His brain tried to find a logical explanation. Maybe the camera feed was delayed. Maybe someone had walked in. But then he heard it. Footsteps. Slow footsteps. Right behind him. Not echoes. Not imagination. Real footsteps. Daniel turned around instantly. No one. The entire gym floor was empty. But when he looked back at the monitor, the figure on the screen was gone. The treadmill was moving again. Daniel grabbed his bag. He didn't stop to shower. He didn't stop to clean the weights. He walked straight to the exit. And as he pushed open the door, he heard one last thing. From somewhere inside the gym. A locker slamming shut. Hard. Daniel never went back to that gym again. But 2 weeks later, he returned during the day to cancel his membership. When the employee asked why, Daniel explained everything. The flickering lights. The treadmill. The figure on the camera. The employee listened quietly. Then asked one question. Did this happen after 1 a.m.? Daniel nodded. The employee sighed and said something that made Daniel's skin crawl. That's strange. Because the gym's power automatically shuts off to the treadmill section at 12:30 a.m. And if that's true, then something else had been running that machine. The locked shower room. Most people don't think twice about gym locker rooms. They're noisy, humid, and usually filled with people getting ready for work or cleaning up after a workout. But when a gym stays open late, the locker room becomes one of the quietest places in the entire building. The sound of dripping water echoes. Every locker creak sounds louder. And sometimes, you realize you might not be as alone as you thought. This next story happened in 2019 to a college student named Marcus. And it started with something very simple. A late-night workout. Story 2. The Night Shift Gym. Marcus was a 22-year-old university student in Texas. Like many students, his schedule was chaotic. Classes during the day, part-time job in the evening. So the only time he could go to the gym was very late at night, around 12:30 a.m. Luckily, the gym near his apartment was open 24 hours. It was a medium-sized local gym. Nothing fancy. Just rows of machines, a weight room, and a locker area with showers. Marcus had been going there for almost 6 months. And he loved working out late. At that hour, there were usually only 2 or 3 people in the entire building. Sometimes even fewer. But there was one thing Marcus always noticed. Around 1 a.m., almost everyone disappeared. It was like the gym slowly emptied itself. Until eventually, it felt like he was the only person left. The strange man. One night, Marcus arrived a little earlier than usual. It was around 11:45 p.m. As he walked inside, he noticed someone sitting on a bench near the stretching area. An older man, maybe in his late 40s. He wore a gray hoodie with the hood pulled low over his head. Marcus didn't think much about it. Gyms attract all kinds of people. He scanned his keycard and started his workout. About 20 minutes later, Marcus looked across the room. The man was still there. Still sitting. Not stretching. Not using any machines. Just sitting. Watching the room. Marcus felt slightly uncomfortable. But again, he ignored it. Something was off. After finishing his workout, Marcus decided to take a quick shower. It was now about 1:10 a.m. The gym floor was completely empty. Even the man in the gray hoodie was gone. Marcus assumed he had left. He grabbed his towel and walked into the locker room. The place was quiet. Too quiet. Only the faint sound of water dripping somewhere in the showers. Marcus placed his bag on the bench and walked toward the shower area. There were 6 shower stalls separated by plastic curtains. Most of them were open and empty. But one curtain at the far end was closed. And behind it, Marcus could hear water running. Someone was showering. Marcus didn't think much of it. Someone else must still be there. He picked a stall near the entrance and turned on the water. For a few minutes, everything felt normal. Hot water, steam filling the room, the usual sounds of a locker room shower. But then Marcus noticed something strange. The other shower had been running for a long time. Too long. And he hadn't heard any movement. No footsteps. No shifting. No sound of soap bottles. Just water. Constantly running. The voice. Marcus finished showering and turned off the water. The room suddenly became very quiet. Except for the shower at the far end. Still running. Marcus grabbed his towel and wrapped it around himself. Then he called out casually, "Hey man, are you almost done?" No answer. Just the sound of water hitting tile. Marcus assumed the person couldn't hear him. So he walked closer. Steam filled the room, making everything look blurry. When he reached the last stall, he noticed something unsettling. The curtain wasn't moving. At all. Usually when someone showers, the curtain shifts slightly from movement. But this one hung perfectly still. Marcus hesitated, then knocked lightly on the wall. "Hey, you okay in there?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, a voice whispered from behind the curtain. "Don't open it." Marcus froze. The voice sounded wrong. Not loud. Not angry. Just quiet. Almost desperate. The water stopped. Marcus stepped back slightly. "Are you okay?" he asked. No response. And then suddenly, the shower turned off. The room became silent. Marcus waited. Seconds passed. Then a minute. No one came out. Marcus felt uneasy. Maybe the guy had fainted or something. So he slowly reached forward and pulled the curtain open. The empty stall. The stall was empty. Completely empty. No person. No towel. No clothes. Nothing. But the floor was soaking wet. And the drain was still spinning with water. Marcus stared in confusion. There was no way someone could have left without him hearing it. There was only one entrance to the showers. And he had been standing right there. His heart started beating faster. Because he suddenly remembered something. The whisper. "Don't open it." The locker room door. Marcus grabbed his things quickly and left the shower area. But when he stepped back into the locker room, he noticed something that made his stomach drop. The locker room door was closed. Not just closed, locked. From the inside. Marcus walked over and tried the handle. It didn't move. But he knew something terrifying. Gym locker room doors don't lock from the inside. They only lock automatically from the outside at night. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. Then he heard it. A locker slowly creaking open. Behind him. Marcus turned around. Row after row of lockers stood silent. But one locker door was slightly open, and inside the dark gap, something moved. Just a little. Like someone shifting in the darkness. Marcus didn't wait. He grabbed his bag and slammed his shoulder against the exit door. It burst open into the hallway. Marcus ran out of the gym. Barefoot. Still holding his towel. He didn't stop running until he reached his car. What the manager said. The next day, Marcus returned with a friend to cancel his membership. He told the gym manager everything. The running shower. The voice. The locked door. The locker moving. The manager listened carefully. Then asked one question. Did you use the far shower stall? Marcus nodded. The manager looked uncomfortable. Then quietly said something disturbing. 2 years ago, a man collapsed and died in that exact stall. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. But what the manager said next was even worse. We closed that stall permanently after the incident. Marcus frowned. But the water was running, he said. The manager slowly shook his head. That's impossible. Because that shower hasn't worked for almost 2 years. The mirror in the weight room. Gyms are full of mirrors. Everywhere you look, mirrors. They help people check their form while lifting weights. They help bodybuilders watch their muscles while training. And most of the time, you don't think twice about them. But mirrors have a strange reputation. For centuries, people have believed mirrors can reflect more than just what's in front of them. Sometimes, they show things that shouldn't be there at all. This next story happened in 2021 to a personal trainer named Olivia. And it started during one of the quietest hours of the night. Story 3. The trainer who worked late. Olivia worked at a large fitness center in Chicago. Unlike most trainers, Olivia preferred the night shift. Her schedule was simple. She trained clients between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m., and after that she cleaned equipment and finished paperwork. By midnight, the gym was almost always empty. Just one employee at the front desk, and maybe a couple of members finishing their workouts. Olivia liked the quiet. The gym felt peaceful when it wasn't crowded. You could hear the soft hum of machines, the faint buzz of fluorescent lights, and the occasional clank of metal weights. But there was one area of the gym she never liked staying in for long. The free weight room. The wall of mirrors. The weight room had an entire wall covered in mirrors. From floor to ceiling. Anyone lifting dumbbells could see themselves from every angle. At night, though, the room felt strange. The reflections made the empty space look twice as large. Sometimes Olivia would glance up and think someone had walked into the room, only to realize it was just her reflection in a different mirror. Still, she ignored the uneasy feeling. Until one night, something happened she could never explain. The last person in the gym. It was around 12:20 a.m. Olivia had finished cleaning most of the equipment. The front desk employee had already left for the night, which meant Olivia was technically the only staff member still inside. There was one gym member still working out. A tall guy doing deadlifts in the weight room. Olivia remembered him clearly. Black hoodie, headphones, focused on his workout. She decided to wipe down the treadmills while he finished. About 15 minutes later, Olivia looked toward the weight room again. The man was gone. The weights were left on the floor, but the room was empty. That was normal. Members often left quickly after finishing a set. So Olivia grabbed a cleaning spray bottle and walked into the weight room. Something in the mirror. She began wiping down a bench. Spray. Wipe. Spray. Wipe. Then she glanced up at the mirror and saw someone standing behind her. Olivia jumped and spun around. No one. The room was empty. She looked back at the mirror again. Nothing there now. She exhaled slowly. Just my imagination, she whispered. Maybe she had expected the guy in the hoodie to still be there. Her brain filled in the image automatically. So she went back to cleaning. But 30 seconds later, it happened again. The reflection moved. Olivia looked up at the mirror one more time. And this time she clearly saw it. Someone standing near the squat rack. Tall, dark clothing. But this time she didn't turn around immediately. Instead, she kept staring at the mirror. Because something was wrong. The person in the reflection wasn't moving. Not even slightly. And slowly Olivia realized something terrifying. The figure in the mirror was looking directly at her. No one was there. Her heart began to race. She turned around quickly. The squat rack was empty. No one. She stepped closer and looked around the room. Nothing. No footsteps. No doors opening. Just silence. Olivia felt a chill crawl down her spine. She slowly looked back at the mirror. The figure was still there, standing behind the squat rack, watching her. The impossible detail. Olivia's breathing became shallow. She stared at the reflection, trying to understand what she was seeing. Then she noticed something even worse. The reflection of the room didn't match reality. In the mirror, the lights above the squat rack were off. But in the real room, they were clearly on. The reflected room looked darker, older, like the gym used to look years ago before it was renovated. And the man standing there looked different too. His clothes didn't look modern. They looked like something from another time. A sleeveless gym shirt, loose sweatpants, old-style training gloves. Olivia slowly stepped backward. The figure in the mirror did the same. But something was wrong. The timing. It wasn't perfectly synced. The reflection moved half a second late. Like it wasn't actually her reflection. The mirror turned black. Olivia grabbed her phone. Her hands were shaking. She aimed the camera toward the mirror. But as soon as the phone pointed at it, the mirror went dark. Not like the lights turned off. It was like someone had covered the mirror with black paint. For a split second, the entire reflection disappeared. Then suddenly, the normal reflection returned. But the figure was gone. The security footage. Olivia left the weight room immediately. She locked the gym and went home. But the next day, she couldn't stop thinking about it. So she asked the manager if she could check the security cameras. The manager agreed. They pulled up the footage from the weight room around 12:30 a.m. At first, everything looked normal. Olivia cleaning the bench, looking at the mirror, turning around, looking confused. But then something disturbing appeared on the screen. For about 3 seconds, the camera captured another person standing near the squat rack. A tall man, wearing old-fashioned gym clothes, exactly like the figure Olivia saw in the mirror. Then suddenly, the figure vanished, right in the middle of the footage. What the manager revealed. Olivia stared at the screen in disbelief. The manager looked uncomfortable. Then he told her something that made her feel sick. Before this building became a gym, it was a boxing training center. Olivia stayed silent. The manager continued. One of the fighters died here during training. Olivia swallowed. Where? She asked quietly. The manager pointed at the screen, directly at the squat rack. That exact spot. Olivia never worked another night shift again. And to this day, she refuses to enter a gym weight room alone after midnight. Because sometimes, when you look into a mirror, you might see something that doesn't belong in your world anymore. When the camera sees more than you do. Most gyms today are filled with security cameras. Every hallway, every entrance, every workout room. They're there for safety, to prevent theft, to monitor equipment, to make sure members follow the rules. But sometimes, security cameras record things that were never supposed to be seen. Things that nobody noticed while they were actually inside the building. This next part of the story begins the day after Olivia saw the figure in the mirror. And what the cameras revealed made the entire staff uncomfortable. Reviewing the footage, the gym manager replayed the footage again. And again. And again. Each time the same strange moment appeared. For a few seconds, the camera showed Olivia standing near the bench. Then suddenly, a second figure appeared behind her. Tall, standing near the squat rack. The quality of the camera wasn't perfect, but the outline was clear. A human shape, standing completely still, watching her. Then after 3 seconds, the figure vanished. Not walking away, not fading, just gone, like someone erased him from the video. Something was missing. Olivia leaned closer to the screen. Something about the footage didn't make sense. She rewound the clip again. This time she noticed something strange. The mirror behind Olivia did not show the figure. But Olivia remembered clearly seeing the man in the mirror that night. So how could the camera capture the figure? But the mirror in the video showed nothing. It didn't match what she experienced. It was the opposite. That realization made Olivia feel uneasy. Because it meant one of two things had happened. Either her memory was wrong, or the camera had captured something her eyes never should have seen. The timestamp problem. Then the manager noticed another strange detail. The timestamp on the video glitched. Right when the figure appeared, the clock jumped forward 6 seconds, then corrected itself. The manager frowned. That's weird, he muttered. Security cameras sometimes glitch, but usually not like that. Not exactly when something appears on screen. Looking at older footage. Out of curiosity, the manager decided to check older recordings. He scrolled through previous nights. Weeks of footage. At first, everything looked normal. Empty gym floors. Late-night members working out. Cleaning staff moving through the building. But then, he stopped scrolling. Because something appeared on the screen again. It had happened before. The footage was from 2 weeks earlier. At around 12:40 a.m. The weight room looked empty. No members. No staff. Just silent machines and rows of mirrors. Then suddenly, a shadow appeared near the squat rack. At first it looked like a camera glitch. But as the video continued, the shadow slowly formed into a human shape. standing exactly where Olivia had seen the reflection. The manager paused the video. Both of them stared at the screen. The shape looked almost identical to the figure from the previous night. Same height, same position, same spot in the room. The most disturbing detail. Olivia leaned forward and suddenly pointed at the screen. "Wait," she said. The manager followed her finger. On the floor near the squat rack, there was a barbell. And in the video, the barbell slowly rolled, just a few inches, as if someone had pushed it with their foot. But there was no visible person touching it. The shadow figure wasn't even close enough to move it. Yet the weight clearly moved. Right on camera. A third clip. The manager kept scrolling. At this point, both of them were silent. Neither wanted to admit what they were thinking. Then another clip appeared. This time from 3 months earlier. Late at night again. Around 1:05 a.m. The weight room looked completely empty. But suddenly, the mirrors in the room flickered. Just slightly. Like a light passing through them. Then a figure walked across the reflection. But the real room remained empty. Only the mirrors showed movement. Olivia's decision. Olivia leaned back in her chair. Her arms were covered in goosebumps. "Has anyone else reported anything strange?" she asked. The manager hesitated, then nodded slowly. "A few members mentioned weird reflections before," he admitted. "Someone once said they saw a man standing behind them in the mirror." Olivia felt a chill. "What happened?" The manager shrugged. "When they turned around, no one was there." One last check. Before shutting down the computer, Olivia had one last idea. She wanted to see footage from the night the old boxing fighter died. The manager searched through archived records. Eventually, he found it. The video quality was older. Grainy. Black and white. The date was from nearly 10 years earlier. The camera showed the same area where the squat rack stood today. But back then, it was a boxing ring. 2 fighters were sparring. One of them suddenly collapsed. The footage showed trainers rushing toward him. The camera kept recording as they tried to help. Then the video ended. The final frame. But just before the manager closed the video, Olivia noticed something chilling. She asked him to rewind the last few seconds. The manager paused the footage and zoomed in. Standing outside the boxing ring, there was another person. A tall man, wearing training gloves, watching silently. But according to the old incident report, only 2 fighters and 1 coach had been inside the gym that night. There was no record of anyone else being present. Yet clearly, someone else had been standing there, watching. Olivia never forgot what she saw on those recordings. And after that day, the gym quietly made a decision. The squat rack area was moved to another part of the room. The mirrors were replaced, and a new camera system was installed. But even now, some employees still claim that late at night, when the gym is completely empty, the mirrors in the weight room sometimes show one extra person, standing silently near the rack, watching, waiting. The night the gym was completely empty. After reviewing the security footage, Olivia couldn't stop thinking about what she had seen. The figure in the mirror, the shadow captured by the camera, the barbell rolling on its own. For days, the images replayed in her mind. But what bothered her the most was one question. Why did these things only seem to happen late at night? Almost every strange moment in the recordings happened between 12:30 a.m. and 1:30 a.m., the quietest time in the gym. when almost everyone had already gone home. And Olivia began to wonder what would happen if she watched the gym during that exact time again. The decision to stay late. A few days later, Olivia decided to stay late after her shift. She told the manager she wanted to finish organizing equipment. But in reality, she wanted to observe the gym between 12:30 and 1 a.m. just to see if anything strange would happen again. That night the gym slowly emptied as usual. Members finished their workouts and left one by one. By 12:15 a.m., the building felt unusually quiet. Olivia walked through the hallways checking each room. Cardio area. Empty. Stretching zone. Empty. Locker rooms. Empty. The only sound was the hum of fluorescent lights above her. The lights that flickered. At 12:28 a.m., Olivia stood near the front desk. She was watching the large open workout floor. Rows of machines stood motionless. The mirrors reflected an empty room. Then suddenly, the lights flickered. Once, then twice. Olivia looked up. The lights stabilized again. But something about that moment made her uneasy. Because the flicker happened exactly 2 minutes before 12:30. The same time stamp where the camera glitch had appeared in the footage. The sound of metal. Olivia decided to walk toward the weight room. Her footsteps echoed softly across the rubber floor. When she reached the doorway, she stopped. Because she heard something. A metallic sound. Like a weight plate being moved. Very slowly. Clink. Scrape. Clink. Olivia's heart began to beat faster. She stepped into the room carefully. The squat rack stood in the corner, exactly where it had always been. The barbell rested on its hooks. No one was there. But the sound continued. Clink. Clink. It was coming from the barbell itself. The moving weight. Olivia stared at the rack. The barbell began to rotate slightly. Very slowly. One of the weight plates turned a few centimeters. Then stopped. No one touched it. No one was even near it. The room was completely still. Olivia whispered to herself, "This can't be happening." Then suddenly, the barbell dropped. Just a few inches. Landing back on the rack with a loud metallic thud. The sound echoed through the empty gym. The mirror reflection. Olivia instinctively looked toward the wall of mirrors. And that's when she saw it again. A figure standing behind the squat rack. Exactly like before. Tall. Broad shoulders. Wearing old training clothes. But this time, the figure wasn't standing still. It was lifting the barbell. In the reflection, the man slowly performed a deadlift, raising the weight from the floor. But in the real room, the barbell remained completely still on the rack. Olivia felt her stomach twist, because she realized something impossible. The reflection was showing a different moment in time. The invisible workout. In the mirror, the man finished lifting the weight. He dropped the barbell to the ground. In the reflection, the metal slammed loudly. But in the real room, there was silence. The barbell hadn't moved. Olivia slowly stepped backward. Her breathing was shallow, but the reflection continued moving. The man wiped his hands like someone finishing a set, then slowly turned his head and looked directly at her through the mirror. The moment of eye contact. Olivia froze. The man's face wasn't clear. It was slightly blurred by the reflection. But she could see his eyes. They were staring directly at her. Not at the mirror. At her. The reflection then did something that made Olivia's blood run cold. The man began walking toward the mirror. step by step, closer, closer, until his face filled the reflection. And then suddenly, the mirror went dark, just for a second. When the reflection returned, the figure was gone. The sound in the hallway. Olivia ran out of the weight room. Her heart was pounding. She moved quickly toward the front entrance. But halfway down the hallway, she heard something behind her. Footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Slow. Measured. Walking across the rubber gym floor. Exactly the sound someone makes when wearing training shoes. Olivia turned around. The hallway was empty. But the footsteps continued. Approaching. Even though no one was there. The front door. Olivia reached the front entrance and grabbed her bag. She was ready to leave immediately. But just before she pushed the door open, she heard one final sound from inside the gym. A loud metallic crash, like a barbell hitting the ground. The exact sound she had seen in the mirror earlier. Olivia didn't look back. She ran to her car and drove home. The manager's reaction. The next morning, Olivia told the manager everything. The moving barbell. The reflection. The footsteps. The manager listened carefully. But he looked more worried than surprised. Finally, he said something quietly. "There's something I didn't tell you before." Olivia waited. The manager continued. "The boxer who died here." He paused, then finished the sentence. "He collapsed while doing deadlifts." Olivia felt chills down her spine. Because that was exactly what she had seen in the mirror. A man lifting a barbell. Over and over and over again. And if Olivia's experience was real, then somewhere inside that gym, something was still finishing the workout it never completed. The night the cameras went dark. After what Olivia experienced in the weight room, she seriously considered quitting her job. For days, she couldn't shake the feeling that something inside the gym was still there. Not just a memory, not just a strange reflection, but something real. Something that seemed connected to the building's past. The dead boxer. The strange reflections. The figure appearing in security footage. And the impossible workout she saw inside the mirror. But before Olivia made any final decision, something happened that made the situation even more disturbing. Because a few nights later, the gym cameras recorded something that none of the staff could explain. Another late night. It was a Friday night, and the gym was unusually busy. More people than usual had come in to work out late. The music was louder. Machines were running. Weights clanged against metal racks. For a moment, Olivia almost forgot about the strange events of the previous week. A crowded gym felt normal, safe. But as the night went on, the crowd slowly disappeared. One by one, members left the building. By 12:20 a.m., only 2 people remained. Olivia and a regular member named Jason. Jason had been coming to the gym for years. He usually trained late at night and focused on heavy weightlifting. Olivia trusted him. He was quiet and respectful. And most importantly, he was still there. Which meant Olivia wasn't alone in the building. Jason's final set. Jason was in the weight room doing squats. Olivia stood near the front desk organizing paperwork. From where she stood, she could see part of the room through the mirrors. Jason loaded the barbell with heavy plates. He stepped under the bar, lifted it off the rack, then began his set. 1 rep, 2 reps, 3. Everything looked completely normal. But then, something strange happened. The lights shut off, At exactly 12:31 a.m., the gym lights flickered again, just like the night Olivia stayed late. But this time, they didn't come back immediately. The weight room went dark. Only the emergency lights remained on. Olivia immediately stood up. "Jason," she called out. No answer. For a moment the entire gym was silent. Then suddenly, she heard the sound of metal crashing to the ground. A barbell dropping. Hard. Running to the weight room. Olivia ran toward the weight room. Her heart was racing. She expected to find Jason injured. Maybe he had lost balance during his lift. But when she reached the doorway, Jason was standing there. Frozen. Not injured. Just staring at the mirror wall. Olivia walked closer. "Jason, are you okay?" He didn't respond immediately. His face looked pale, almost frightened. Then he pointed toward the mirror. "Did you see him?" he whispered. Olivia felt a chill. "See who?" Jason swallowed. "There was another guy in the mirror," he said. "Standing right behind me." "The same figure." Olivia's stomach tightened. "Behind you?" she asked quietly. Jason nodded. "I thought someone walked into the room," he continued. "But when I turned around..." He looked over his shoulder nervously. No one was there. Olivia slowly looked toward the mirror. The reflection showed only the two of them standing in the room. But Jason kept talking. "He wasn't lifting weights," Jason said. "He was just watching me." Olivia didn't say anything, because Jason had just described the exact same thing she had experienced. The camera footage. The next morning, Olivia and the manager checked the security cameras again. They found the moment when the lights went out. Jason performing squats. The room suddenly going dark. The barbell falling. But when they zoomed in on the footage, they saw something terrifying. For a split second during the darkness, another person appeared behind Jason, standing directly near the mirror wall. Exactly like before. Tall, wearing old training clothes. But this time there was something new. The figure looked clearer, and its face was slightly visible. The familiar face. The manager paused the video. He leaned closer to the screen. Then his expression changed. Olivia noticed immediately. "What is it?" she asked. The manager hesitated, then slowly opened an old document on the computer. It was the incident report from the boxer who died years ago. Attached to the report was a photograph. A young fighter standing in a boxing gym, wearing training gloves. Muscular build. Serious expression. The manager placed the photo next to the paused camera footage. Olivia stared at both images. Her heart dropped, because the face in the security footage looked exactly like the boxer in the old photograph. The camera shut down before they could analyze the video further. The computer screen suddenly went black. The camera system shut down completely. The monitors flickered, then turned off. The manager tried restarting the system, but nothing happened. All cameras inside the gym had gone offline. At the exact moment, they paused the image of the figure. The last frame. After several minutes, the system finally rebooted. But when the video reappeared, the footage had changed. The frame showing the figure behind Jason was gone, completely missing from the recording. The timeline skipped over it entirely, like that moment had never existed. Olivia's realization. Olivia leaned back in her chair slowly. Her hands were shaking, because she finally understood something terrifying. The figure wasn't just appearing randomly. It appeared whenever someone lifted heavy weights in the same area. The exact place where the boxer had collapsed. The exact place where his final workout ended. And maybe, just maybe, the spirit of that man was still there. Still training. Still watching. Still waiting for someone else to take his place. The final night in the gym. After the incident with Jason and the security footage, the atmosphere inside the gym changed completely. Word slowly spread among the staff. No one said the word ghost out loud, but everyone knew something strange was happening. Employees began avoiding the weight room after midnight. Some refused to work the late shift at all. And Olivia, she had already made up her mind. She was going to quit. But before she did, she had one final shift left. And that night would become the most terrifying experience of her life. The quiet before midnight. It was a Tuesday night. The gym wasn't very busy. A few regular members finished their workouts early and left before midnight. By 11:50 p.m., the building had already started to feel empty. Olivia walked through the gym doing her final equipment check. Treadmills were off. Lights were dimmed slightly. Mirrors reflected long rows of empty machines. Everything looked normal. But Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. The last member leaves. At 12:07 a.m., the final gym member walked out. A man finishing his cardio session. He waved goodbye to Olivia and left through the front door. The sound of the door closing echoed through the building. And just like that, Olivia was completely alone. The same feeling returned. The strange silence that always seemed to appear after midnight. The first sound. At 12:26 a.m., Olivia sat behind the front desk. She was scrolling through her phone, trying to pass the time. Then she heard it. A distant metallic sound. Clink. She looked up. The sound came from the direction of the weight room. Clink. Clink. Like someone adjusting weight plates. Olivia felt her chest tighten. She stood up slowly, because she already knew something important. No one else was inside the building. Walking toward the weight room, Olivia grabbed a small flashlight from the desk. Even though the lights were on, she wanted something to hold. Something that made her feel less alone. Her footsteps echoed as she walked across the gym floor. Each step felt louder than the last. The sound of metal continued. Clink. Scrape. Clink. When she reached the doorway of the weight room, the sound suddenly stopped. The barbell was moving. Olivia stepped inside. The room looked empty, but something immediately caught her attention. The barbell on the squat rack was moving, slowly rocking back and forth, like someone had just placed it there. Olivia felt her throat go dry, because the movement had clearly just happened. The weight plates were still spinning slightly. The mirrors began to chain. Olivia looked toward the mirror wall and instantly felt a wave of fear. The reflections didn't look normal. Instead of reflecting the empty gym, the mirror showed something different. The room looked darker, older. The equipment looked worn and outdated, just like the old boxing gym from years ago. And in the reflection, someone was there. The boxer returns. The tall figure stood near the rack, exactly where the boxer had once trained. He wasn't transparent. He looked completely real. Muscular arms, old training gloves, sweatpants from another era. And he was lifting the barbell again. One rep, then another. His movements were slow but powerful, like a professional athlete training for a fight. But in the real room, the barbell on the rack wasn't moving at all. The reflection noticed her. Olivia stood frozen. Her flashlight trembled in her hand. Then suddenly, the boxer stopped lifting. He turned his head slowly and looked directly at her. But he wasn't looking at her reflection. He was looking through the mirror, straight at her real body standing in the room. Olivia's heart began pounding so loudly she could hear it. The mirror shattered. Without warning, the barbell in the reflection dropped. The metal crashed against the floor. At the exact same moment, one of the mirrors cracked. A loud snapping sound filled the room. A long fracture spread across the glass. Then another crack appeared. And another. Olivia stepped back quickly. The mirror looked like it might explode. But instead, everything suddenly went silent. The empty reflection. Olivia slowly looked back at the mirror. The old gym reflection was gone. The room looked normal again. Bright lights, modern equipment, and no figure in sight. The cracked mirror hung on the wall like nothing had happened. The terrifying discovery. Olivia ran back to the front desk. Her heart was racing. She grabbed the gym logbook, a record of all incidents that happened inside the building. She flipped through the old pages quickly, until she reached the entry from the year the boxer died. The report described the moment he collapsed, the location, the equipment he was using, and the time. Olivia felt her stomach twist when she read it, because the time written in the report was 12:31 a.m. The exact same time strange things kept happening. Olivia's final shift. Olivia finished her shift that night, but she never worked another one again. The next morning, she officially quit her job. She never returned to the gym, not even during the daytime, because what she saw that night convinced her of one thing. The boxer who died in that building never truly left. And every night at the exact same time, something inside that gym starts training again. The truth that still haunts the gym. After Olivia quit, the gym tried to move on. Management replaced the cracked mirror in the weight room. The camera system was upgraded. The squat rack area was rearranged again. And officially, no one talked about the strange events anymore. To new employees, the gym was just another 24-hour fitness center. Bright lights, loud music, rows of machines. A normal place where people came to train and improve their bodies. But the older staff members knew something different, because they had all experienced something they could never explain. And even after Olivia left, the strange incidents did not stop. A new employee. About 6 months later, the gym hired a new night employee named Kevin. Kevin was 24 years old. Friendly, energetic, and excited about the job. He didn't know anything about the strange stories connected to the building. The manager never mentioned them, and the other staff avoided the topic completely. To Kevin, the job seemed perfect. Quiet nights, free workouts, and plenty of time to study between tasks. But on his third week working the night shift, Kevin experienced something that would change everything. The same time, it was another quiet night. Only a few members had stayed past midnight. By 12:20 a.m., the gym had already started to empty. Kevin wiped down equipment and organized dumbbells. He noticed something odd, though. Several members seemed uncomfortable in the weight room. One person even left early without finishing their workout. Kevin assumed they were just tired. But then, he noticed the time. 12:30 a.m. The familiar sound. Kevin was behind the front desk when he heard it. Clink. He looked up. Clink. The sound came from the weight room, just like metal plates touching each other. Kevin assumed someone was finishing a lift. But when he checked the security monitor, the weight room camera showed something strange. The room looked empty. No members inside. Yet the sound continued. Clink, clink. Checking the room, Kevin walked toward the weight room. The gym floor was silent. Machines were off. The mirrors reflected the empty building. But as he approached the doorway, he heard something else. Heavy breathing, like someone recovering after an intense workout. Kevin stepped inside the room and immediately felt the air change. The temperature felt colder, and the room smelled like sweat, even though no one was there. The barbell on the floor. Kevin walked toward the squat rack. The barbell wasn't on the rack anymore. It was lying on the floor, right in the center of the room. Kevin frowned. Someone must have dropped it earlier. He bent down to lift it, but just as his hands touched the bar, he heard something behind him. A deep voice. Calm. Breathing heavily. Another said. Kevin spun around instantly. No one. The room was completely empty. The mirror movement. Kevin slowly looked toward the mirrors, and his heart nearly stopped. In the reflection, the room wasn't empty. A man stood behind him. Tall, muscular, wearing old boxing training clothes. The man walked toward the barbell. But Kevin felt something impossible, because Kevin himself could not move. It was like his body had frozen in place. The impossible reflection. In the mirror, Kevin watched the boxer step toward him. The man grabbed the barbell easily, then lifted it from the floor. Kevin's reflection moved with the motion. But Kevin's real body hadn't moved at all. It was as if the mirror was forcing him to repeat the boxer's workout. Rep after rep. Lift after lift. Kevin felt his muscles tightening, even though he wasn't moving. Breaking free. Suddenly the gym lights flickered. The mirror reflection distorted. For a brief second, Kevin saw the boxer's face clearly. Sweat running down his forehead. Eyes filled with determination. Then suddenly, everything stopped. Kevin collapsed to the floor. The barbell was lying beside him, exactly where it had been before. The mirrors showed nothing unusual, and the room was silent again. The security footage. The next day, the manager reviewed the camera footage. The video showed Kevin entering the weight room, walking to the barbell, then suddenly collapsing. But something else appeared for just 2 seconds. Behind Kevin, a tall shadow stood near the rack, watching him. Then the shadow disappeared, just like every other time. The final decision. After that incident, the gym owners made a quiet decision. They removed the squat rack from the room completely. The weightlifting area was redesigned, and the building was eventually sold to a new fitness company. Today, the gym still operates under a different name. New equipment, new mirrors, new staff. Most people who work out there have no idea about the building's past. But some late-night members still report strange things. Barbells shifting slightly on the rack. Mirrors reflecting movement when no one is there. And occasionally, the sound of someone lifting weights in the middle of the night. Clink, clink, clink. The chilling possibility. Maybe the stories are just imagination. Maybe the strange camera footage was just glitches. Or maybe some workouts never truly end, because somewhere inside that gym, a boxer who died during training may still be finishing his final set. And if you ever find yourself alone in a 24-hour gym late at night, and you hear the sound of weights moving behind you, you might want to check the mirrors, just to make sure you're really the only one there.